Hi guys, Guillermo is here. Welcome back to the Revit architectural training tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll give you an introduction to working with components. Let's begin. We already learned what a component family is, but I shall repeat it to refresh our memories. Please join me to know more about the components. Component families are loadable elements that can exist outside of the project environment. For example, it is possible to model a piece of furniture in Revit and then save that furniture family onto your hard drive and insert it in a Revit project. These type of Revit families have a RFA file extension. Many component families can be downloaded over the internet from BIM libraries or manufacturers' websites. Prime examples of component families are doors, windows, columns, and any component you insert in Revit. To summarize, component families are loadable elements. They can exist outside of the project environment. The files have a RFA extension. Also can be downloaded from BIM libraries or manufacturers' websites. Prime examples of component families are doors, windows, columns, and any component you insert in Revit. It is good practice to put components that you use regularly into your office template. A small number of components are placed into your model by default, such as doors and windows. But most other Revit components are placed as a single component tool. Switch to the architecture menu and you will find the component tool located on the build panel. Select the component tool. Immediately the properties palette changes to show the currently selected component. If you click on the drop-down type selector at the top of the properties palette, you will see a list of all the components available in the current project. This list depends upon the components you have in your standard template, upon which your new projects are created. You can see a few of the components available such as trees, desks, rainwater pipes, etc. These are all from the standard default Autodesk Revit template. Have a look at the options bar. Note that you have the option to rotate your component immediately after you have placed it in the model, without the need for activating the rotate tool. We're now going to place a desk component into our model and I want to rotate it as soon as it's placed. I'm going to go ahead and tick the rotate after the placement box. Next, I choose the component I want from the drop-down family type selector in the properties palette. I'm going to choose a desk family and the type will be 1525 by 762 millimeters. I can now click in the active floor plan view and place a single instance of this particular component. Notice how as soon as the component is placed we get a center of rotation, the blue dot in the center of the desk, and a rotation angle that we can use to lever the object around. Move the mouse to rotate the rotation angle aligned to the desired angle, or simply type in the angle you wish to rotate it. And then click to finalize the position of the new component. The standard Revit templates generally are quite limited. The majority of the time, you will need to load additional components into your current project. You do this using the load family command. Remember, components are standalone Revit files with a RFA extension. As such, they can be stored as a library on your PC's hard drive, an office server, cloud storage, etc. When you first install Revit onto your computer, you have the option to install a default component library. This is a range of generic components that Autodesk provides with the software to get you started. You can, of course, adapt these components to suit your own needs by use of the Family Editor. This is outside the scope of this beginner's course. The Load Family button is configured to open a file browser which immediately points to the default Autodesk library. Let's load a component family now. The file browser opens to a folder called Libraries. This folder contains a library that was created when I installed Revit. Depending on which country you are in, your file browser may point to a folder with a different name. However, its purpose is the same, and that is to give you access to the generic component library that ships with Revit architecture. Finally, before we finish this tutorial, I just want to talk about hosted components. All Revit components need a reference level to locate them vertically in the model. You can think of this as their z-coordinate. The desk we placed earlier is a good example of this. Although we can place the desk anywhere, both in plan and section, Revit uses a reference level to locate it vertically. So in this case, the level itself acts as a host for the desk family. As you can see, the desk is hosted on level 1. If we go ahead and select the desk component, we have an option on the ribbon menu. Pick New Host. After I click this tool, I can then click on a new host to act as a reference for my component. I then click on level 2 to act as the new host. Revit immediately moves the desk vertically in the model, so the desk now references level 2. Please note, some components may use other Revit families as hosts. For example, there are wall-based families, face-based families, ceiling-based families, etc. The same Pick New Host tool can be used to relocate these components as required.